phenomenon that is happening on a civilization-wide scale right now, and I'm just amazed to be watching this happening and to be part of this wave. And I know I am just one wave in a vast ocean of change that's going on right now that is going to sweep over the shore and is already toppling the old paradigm.
You're listening to the Corbett Report.
This is Luke Radowski of WeAreChange.org here in Acapulco, Mexico, and I'm actually joined by the one and only Dan Dix of PressForTruth.ca and James Corbett of the Corbett Report. Now, we just wrapped up a very intense boot camp here in Mexico. We went from laughing yoga to meditation to tequila shots to running to doing push-ups to reframing and tricking your mind into positive thinking. We went all out yesterday teaching about 40 students all of our tricks of the trade. We went through everything, but enough of me talking. James, what did you take most from what we did yesterday? What do you think are some of the most important lessons that we went through?
I don't know if it's the most important, but one of the most interesting for me was watching you and how you do the confrontations and how to approach people during confrontations and things like that. It was really interesting because it's obviously different than the style that I usually do. So I really appreciated seeing that, seeing how you do it.
Dan?
I really enjoyed the aspect of teaching others how to inspire others and teaching others how to change themselves and look inside and realize that, if you want to cure the world, if you want to fix things, you have to realize that sometimes it comes down to a problem with mankind's hearts, and that's the fundamental thing that needs to be changed. So I think that's one of the most powerful messages that we got out yesterday. People need to work on themselves before they change the world.
Exactly. Changing yourself before you do change the world and coming from the right kind of aspect, the right kind of energy before getting into this field, because I feel a lot of people want to get into this field of independent, free journalism by looking for validation, looking to get approval from others, and looking just for a source of something to fill their egos. And we see that a lot, but the main lesson that I was trying to teach yesterday, hands-on, one-on-one, was a very important one about not seeking validation, not eating the Pringles. We used the Pringles analogy to describe that, because when you eat Pringles, you're eating empty calories, and your brain is tricked into just sitting there eating the whole damn thing because your mind is tricked into wanting something that you really don't deep down want. And that same thing happens when you look for validation. You trick yourself and you actually get off the true purpose, and you're looking at extrinsic goals, and you will never be fulfilled with those Pringles, with that validation doing this, because it's a hard road. It's not easy. There's a lot of criticism. There's a lot of accountability, especially when you do this, where people online will hold you accountable for a lot of things. And if you just worry about getting YouTube hits and YouTube numbers, you will fail yourself and bring yourself on a mission that will bring you towards negativity and ego fulfillment. And that's why we went through very important lessons and tricks on reframing your mind, on positivity, having the right energy, and doing this for intrinsic reasons, because you want to change the world, because you want to make yourself into a better person, personal development, tips and tricks of just simple psychology, of writing down 5 things that you're grateful for each and single day, and practicing that, which actually spurs your prefrontal cortex and actually helps you develop your brain more when you're happier. There's basic science and facts that we broke down to it. Is there anything that you guys want to add when it comes to doing this for the intrinsic reasons? And why do you guys do what you guys do as real independent journalists?
It's kind of like for a writer or an artist or someone like that. They spend years and years learning how to paint or how to write like someone else that they admire, or like trying to copy what people are doing. But it takes years for them to discover how to just be themselves. And I think that's kind of like for a lot of people who start out in alt media. You have all of these influences from different people you've seen, and you want to try to emulate them. But it isn't until you find yourself and you're just authentically you that you can really communicate with an audience. And it's difficult to do that. It really is difficult to do that. But it's so important to try to find that base you, who you are, and just exude it. Because audiences smell BS, and they know it when they see it. And they know authenticity when they see it. So I think that's the most important lesson. It's very hard to teach, but it's really important for people to understand that when they're starting off.
Exactly, especially if you try to be somebody that you're not. It comes off ugly and it comes off unauthentic. Even in the whole dating community, if you come up to a girl and you're trying to validate yourself by trying to get the most amount of girls, and you're being fake and you're not being real, you will be shunned away as fast as possible. Same thing when you're doing YouTube videos. If you're not yourself, you're not speaking from the heart, if you're not comfortable in front of the cameras, the audience will see it and they will reject you, just like you would get rejected at a nightclub trying to pick up a girl. Dan, what do you think about everything?
Yeah, agreed. I mean, people are going to spot a phony right off the bat. So in my process of this, I'd have to agree with James. I completely had a better understanding and kind of discovered myself by, questioning all these things, the motives of the government and everything. And I had a better understanding of some of the, because you start to look at the bigger game, the end game, the big picture. You start to question bigger things. So I started to have a better understanding of who I am, what kind of things I want to achieve in life, just by doing the work that I do. So it's really made me who I am. It's all I know.
Yeah. Writing your goals, finding intrinsic goals, going after your passions is extremely important, and now we have the option to do that. Us three here, are living proof of that. We're real, free, independent news, reliant solely on you and your viewership. We also went over very important things on not what to do, on some ethical things that people should be wary of. For the very fact, if you have a news organization and you're starting out to be an independent journalist, if you are promoting about how Fukushima is going to pollute the entire world and kill off a large number of populations, we don't think it's ethical for you to sell iodine and tell you it's the cure against what's going to happen with Fukushima. Same thing with Ebola. If you're fear-mongering about how Ebola is going to wipe out half of the population of the earth, and then you're selling the immune system Ebola cure, that's unethical. When you're promoting how the US dollar is going to collapse and you're saying people should buy gold and silver when it's at its highest, that is not right, and it's unethical. And there's some boundaries and lines being drawn right now because this is a totally new entire field. But discovering things like that, talking about real issues, and making sure that your news does not conflate with your dollar is extremely important to keep independent media authentic, real, but also successful in beating the mainstream media, is being as honest as you can with what you're doing and not letting the bottom dollar conflate with what you're doing. I know, James, you expanded on this in so many different ways, but how do you see the whole emerging market? Because you have a whole other system which you survive and which you thrive on.
Yeah, it's so strange for me to talk about this because all of my funding sources are exactly what you wouldn't do if you were trying to build a business. I don't do advertising, and I don't, the only money I get is from International Forecaster for writing a newsletter once a week. Other than that, I don't do videos for money. I don't do things for money. All I do is ask for the audience to donate, to subscribe. I am absolutely blessed and humbled to have an audience that will do that and to support this work. And I don't take that for granted. I think that what is happening right now is, for the first time, really, truly, honestly, I mean this from the bottom of my heart, first time in history, human beings are able to do collaborative types of work like this for very little money with the setup we have, with the sort of crude amateur technology we have, to send it worldwide and to get supported directly by the people who are watching it, rather than going through some big, third-party corporation that's going to publish it in some office thousands of miles away. It's a stupid old system that is dying. We are the vanguard. Yeah. And I don't say that with ego. I'm not the vanguard. We are just representatives of a phenomenon that is happening on a civilization-wide scale right now. And I'm just amazed to be watching this happening and to be part of this wave. And I know I am just one wave in a vast ocean of change that's going on right now that is going to sweep over the shore and is already toppling the old paradigms. So, we just got to keep... it's not even a question of what we do or don't do. It is happening. So you can either be part of it or not, I guess.
And if you are honest, if you are true, people will support you, and you don't need as much money as you did 10 years ago to do this operation. All you need is just a willingness to put yourself out there, work really hard. Dan is living proof of this. Dan, with just the small operation that he has made really amazing documentaries, professionally made documentaries on just you guys supporting him. Do you want to talk about your kind of the career path that you're on right now?
Well, I think the three of us are blessed, really, to the point that we can actually do this for a living. And it's not like we have a lot of money. I personally am just barely staying afloat, but I have enough to continue to do this work. And that's the most important thing for me. It has nothing to do with money. I'm talking about what you were saying before. Selling products, I don't sell products. I'm not fully against it. And if you have to really believe in that product, if you're selling gold and silver, you better own gold and silver, and you better truly believe in that. So it's not about the materialism. It's just about the ideas and the meanings and the intentions behind it. So as long as money is not your object, and you know that you're not controlled by greed, well, then people are going to see that, and they're going to know that you're honest, you're true, you're decent, and they're going to recognize that.
Exactly. We're living in a time and moment in history that no one else in human history has ever gone through. In recorded human history, there never has been a time when one person, one voice could destroy all the mainstream media propaganda and lies with just honest speaking truth. And that truth has a way of flowing all the way around the world only because of you, your viewership, and your support. If you get a chance, check out Dan Dix of pressfortruth.ca. His link will be in the description below. James Corbett of the Corbett Report, really doing amazing work, and I've been blessed to have these two amazing independent journalists come here to Mexico to help me teach all the individuals that came here for the class. If you're not here for the class, we're giving you some of those lessons that we learned